Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're returning, and welcome if you're new. I'm Josephine. So today I'll be showing you how to make this beautiful top. So let's get into the video. So I've already ruled out my vertical line, my armhole line, my bust points, my waist, and my full length. So my armhole line is 8 inches. I used 8 inches. My bust line is 13 inches. My waist is 19 and the full length is 27, but I added 1 inches for hemming allowance. So right now I'm marking my shoulder, which is 8 inches. My neck depth, I used 3 inches. So I'm going to go down by that shoulder by 1 inches and connect it to the neck point where I marked that 3 inches, like so. So on my armhole line, I'm going to mark that same shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. Then I'll rule a straight line from the shoulder down to that armhole line, like so. So on that line now, I'm going to get the midpoint, which is 3.5. I'll mark it, then I'll go in by half an inch. Take my bust measurement, which is 11.5. I'll mark it, then connect it to the shoulder on a curve rule. So right now on my bust point, I'm going to take my nipple to nipple measurement. Mine is 10 divided by 2 is 5, so I'm going to mark that same on the bust line, my waistline, and the full length. Then I'll connect it with a straight ruler. So from the full length, I'm going up by 3 inches. That is where my dart is going to stop. So on my waist, I'm taking 0.75 on each side. So I'll connect it to my bust line and also to that 3 inches I mark upward from my foot top measurement. So right now I'm taking my bust that mine is 3 inches. That is the difference of my waist, my front waist to my back waist is 3 inches. So I'll connect it to the bust line there. So right now I'm taking my measurements. My waist is 9.5 plus 1.5 dart allowance and 1.5 sewing allowance. So I'm adding my 1.5 sewing allowance to the bust measurement I took earlier. So on the full length, I'm going to mark my hip measurement, which is 12 inches. I'm going to add my 1.5 sewing allowance, then I'll connect. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to curve the side. If you don't want to curve your top, there's no need. You can leave it like that. But I just needed it to have a little curve. So that is what I'm doing. So right now I'm taking my neck measurement. I'm using 3.5, so I'll connect it to that neckline I marked earlier on a curved line like this. So for my yoke I used 8 inches. Don't mind me marking 7 inches because that was what I used earlier, but I changed it to 8 inches. So our front pattern is almost ready, but I need to close my bust dart. So you just have to fold it like so. Watch how I do it. So I'll use my masking tape to hold it down. So if you notice the waistline is no longer straight, so I'm going to shaping it back. So after that, we can now go ahead and cut our pattern. So this is the front pattern after cutting it out. So this is our back pattern. I've ruled out all the vertical lines, but for the back waist I used 16 inches. I told you the difference between my back and my front is 3 inches. So to get this top equal, you take the measurement from your waist to the full length of the front pattern, then you place that same measurement from your back waist down to the full length. If you notice the back pattern, I went in by 1 inch. That's for the zipper allowance. I took my shoulder measurement, my armhole, just the way we did at the front. So right now I'm imputing my nipple to nipple measurement. So you start taking your nipple to nipple measurement from that 1 inch you marked in. So I'll connect it on a straight line. So I'm taking my dart measurement, which is 0.75 on each of the side. And from the full length, I'm going to go up by 3 inches, just the way we did at the front. So that's where our dart will stop. So I'll connect it like so. Unlike the front dart, which we stopped at the bust line, for this back dart, we are going to stop at the armhole line, like so. So right now I'm adding 1.5 inch for sewing allowance. At that place I took my bust measurement, so my waist measurement the same thing plus the dart and the allowance. And for the full length I'll also mark my hip measurement, just the way we did at the front, and I'll connect it. I'm curving the back pattern just the way I did at the front pattern. So at that 1 inch zipper allowance I left earlier, you go down to the waistline. I'm going in by 0.75. I'm doing that to eliminate zip bulge at the back. So from that 0.75, I'm going to mark outward 1 inches. That will be my zipper allowance. So I'll connect like so. So right now I'm marking my back neckline. I used 2 inches, so I'll connect it to the 3 inches I marked at the shoulder, like so. So let's cut. So this is our back pattern after cutting. And this is our front pattern also. So I'm going to cut it on my fabric. So these are the fabric I'll be using. I'll be using this purple organza for my yoke and this other yellowish color for the body of the top. Actually, I wanted a crepe for this, but I couldn't get for this color, so I went for doll face. So this yellow fabric is a doll face fabric. So for the yoke, I use quarter to cut both the front and the back, and the body of the top I used 1 inches. So the total I used was 1/4 inch for the top. So this is it after cutting it on the fabric. For the front yoke and the front body, you cut it on fold, while the back body and the back yoke, you cut it 2 pieces each. So after cutting my yoke, I went ahead and fold the neck with a bias, and I also made a design on the body. So I'm going to show you how I did that. So this is it after folding in the neck with a bias strip. Then for this design, I just used a paper, draw out the flower I want with a marker, then I cut it out. So this is the paper. So after cutting it out, I just placed it on the fabric, used my marker to trace it, then use a bias to trace the line, and so the bias I had to fold it again. You know, bias comes on fold, and I had to fold it into 2 again. So that was how I got this, and I did the same thing to the back yoke too. So this is our beautiful yoke. So I just cut out a long fabric of 60 inches by length and 6 inches by width. So right now I'm going to fold it into 2, then I'll sew by 1/2 inch and bring it back for us to see. So this is our front body. I'm going to take my dart for both the front and the back, then I'll bring it back for us to see. So this is my front body after sewing in the darts. I did the same thing to the back and I gave it a nice press. So this is the long rope. I've sewed it in. So this other place I left out, just marked where I want it to stop after joining the yoke and the top together. So this is the upper side of the top. So this is the rope. So I'm going to place my yoke. Please don't forget to notch the midpoint so that you can know exactly where you're sewing from. Then I'll sew in by 1/2 inch. So I'll do the same thing to the back. Sew by 1/2 inch. Then I'll bring it back for us to see. So I'll impute my zip also. This is the front. So after sewing it, I want the rope to stop around that my armhole so that I'll be able to tie it. So that was why I stopped it at that place. Look at the back. I've also sewn in the zip. So right now I'm going to be placing the front body on the back body, and I'll sew at the shoulder by 1/2 inch. Then I'll shape out my armhole, then take my body measurements and sew in. Then I'll bring it back for us to see. So this is it after sewing. I've joined the shoulder with 1/2 inch, shape out my armhole, took my body measurement and shaping it. So right now I'm going to use a bias strip to turn the armhole and the body. Then I'll place it on my mannequin for us to see. Thank you guys for always supporting your girl. I'm so grateful. If you're coming across this video for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe. Love you guys and see you in my next video. Bye bye.